All right, let's keep looking. Let's keep looking at the augmented sixth chords. We've figured out sort of how to build that interval. We know it has to lead to 5, so we take that double leading tone, half step above, half step below, resolve out to an octave, like boom, done, easy peasy, right? So okay, so let's now get into talking about the various types, or we're going to talk about one type of augmented sixth chord. We're going to find is that these chords have sort of interesting geographically based names. So the chord we're going to learn about right now is called the Italian augmented sixth. They all have these names of countries as their title. It doesn't really matter why. They don't really mean anything. You can draw some conclusions stylistically, but realistically, this doesn't have anything to do with Italy per se, but it's a convenient way to keep them separate. So we're looking at the Italian augmented sixth chord today. Now, we know, or we can sort of think critically here and say, because the interval of an augmented sixth is part of all of the augmented sixth chords, right? Because that interval is in there, we already know 2 notes that must be a part of any augmented sixth chord. The Italian augmented sixth ends up being actually the only 3-note variety of augmented sixth chords, which means that we already know 2 out of the 3 notes that are going to come up here in this Italian augmented sixth, because we know that it needs to have lay as the downwards leading tone to sol, and fi as the upwards. So we're in a really good position here. And all we're going to do is add the tonic of the key to that augmented sixth interval. That's it. That's the Italian augmented sixth. So this is where we really are saying, once you know the interval augmented sixth, once you see how to build that in any key, for the Italian augmented sixth, you just add do. You just add the tonic pitch to sort of round that out. So let's look at an example here. So we're in D major, right? And we can sort of figure out, okay, A is 5 in D, right? So we're in D major. A is 5. So we've got sol, and you can see this 5 chord. This first one is in 3 voices, just to sort of really illustrate it. We've got a sol in the bass, and we've got a sol in the sopranos, right? And we know, okay, double leading tone, one from above, one from below to 5. G sharp is always the leading tone of A. We've got fi, sol, and then that sort of downwards leader, that upper leading tone, whichever way you want to call it, the one from above is lay, sol. And again, in D major, or in D, any D key, lay is such an important note. And so having a sense of where lay is, or what note lay is in a key, is really critical. So in D, whether we're doing modal mixture that involves lay, which could be like that, or whether we're doing one of our sort of lay, sol, right, kind of motions, or here, where we're going to build this really intricate augmented sixth resolution on it, lay is really important. So we've got B flat moving downwards to A. We've got G sharp moving up to A. And remember, that augmented sixth interval just wants to resolve outwards to the octave. And all we're adding is do. That's it. And you can see how in this alto part here, we've got do going to T, and then this resolves to do. And so it's really nice. This is a greatly balanced chord because we've got these 2 notes with super strong push that are just so tense, both with one another, but also their tension against the key, because neither one of them are in the key of D major. So we got major tension there. So adding do has a really nice balance effect to the chord, right? Really nice balance effect to the chord. Okay. That should be pretty straightforward. 3 voices, 3 notes, one for everybody. There we go. It does get a little more complicated in four voices because we're sort of dealing with having to figure out the doublings. This shouldn't be too crazy here. Oh, sorry, there's my arrows. Look, it goes outwards, and there's do. So here, the altos have the fee, sol kind of thing, and the the basses always, as always, the basses have the lay, sol. That's intact, and we've just doubled the tonic pitch. And here you can see it's going to the the cadential 6/4 kind of thing, right? Lay, sol, and fee, sol. I've doubled tonic, right? And again, this really falls into our pretty as close to a never-ending rule as always, which is don't double the weird note. In this chord, there are two weird notes and one normal note. So we're going to double the tonic. We're going to double do, right? Voice leading, pretty straightforward. Because these two notes, they have very specific places that they want to go. They both want to go to sol, so we can really build the rest around it. All right, that's the Italian augmented sixth. Let's practice this. Let's practice this here for a second. I'm going to go into finale. Let's do two quick practices here. So here we are. We're going to start in E minor. Start in E minor to practice this. So in E minor, first things first, we want to build the interval and then the chord Italian augmented sixth. I should have mentioned, this is how we typically write it, just the first two letters, Italian augmented sixth. And so we can see here, I've built a little phrase. We should know, right? We're figuring this chord out based on its relationship to B. Because in E minor, B is 5, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol. And you can see here I've sort of started us with lay, sol, right? So we know that lay is going to be the note that we want to have in the bass for sure. So we've got lay here in the bass. That's the starting point. And actually, let me write sol here just to really make it clear. Oh no, what do we got? What do we have going on here, people? Let's get rid of that. Sol, good. So what's the other note then? What's the other note that makes up the augmented sixth interval? If lay goes downwards to sol, what note goes upwards to sol? What note's that? Well, it's a half step below B. It's going to be A sharp. It's going to be A sharp. So let me put that here just so that they're together. Oops. I got to remember which keyboard's doing what. That's trouble for me, I got to say. So there's our interval augmented sixth. C natural to A sharp, both resolving outwards to the octave. And what note is going to be added to make this an Italian augmented sixth chord, right? What note gets added to this interval? It's do. So in this chord, it's just going to be E. We're going to add the note E to this chord, right? And that's our augmented sixth chord, the Italian augmented sixth. So it's, if you want to think about it solfege-wise, you can think it's lay, do, and fi, right? Those are the notes, lay, do, and fi. And in this case, in all cases, lay is in the bass, because that lay, sol motion is really important. Lay, we add do, because that's the sort of middle balancing note, and fi moves upwards. All right, let's try to do this progression here. I think, yeah, good. Okay, sweet. They move together. That's nice. So let's look here. We're starting on a 1 chord. We're just doing a quick little 1 Italian augmented sixth, moving to 5. Here's the voicing, right? So we know what notes we need. So first and foremost, let's figure out which of these voices, which of the tenor, alto, or soprano would move the most naturally to get to fi, A sharp. it's easy maybe to think the altos, but if we went from G natural to A sharp, it's an augmented second. So we want to avoid that. So instead, let's give the sopranos, the A sharp here. Okay? You don't really have much choice about it, but I'm pretending that we're having a discussion, right? So there we go, A sharp. So there we've got lay, we've got fee. What does that mean? What's going to happen with both the tenors and the altos? Well, it's easy to see what's going to happen for the tenors here. They're on E, and we know E is the other note we're adding. So the tenors, they're going to be singing do, right? Here we go. And then what are the altos going to do? We've got all three notes. We've got lay, we've got do, we've got fee, lay, do, fee. What do we double in this chord? We double do, because we know that we certainly do not want to double either of the weird notes. Now, you may be noticing quite correctly that in the key of E minor, C natural is not a weird note. It's in the key, right? This is a note. It's in the key signature. It's lay, right, in E minor. That's there. But it's in this context, it fits the bill as a weird note because it's a tendency tone, right? This chord, there's no question about where that note wants to go, right? It's got as much pull to sol as A sharp does to B. And so we don't want to double that note even though it's in the key signature. It's not a weird note by that metric. But if we double it, then we don't know what to do with the other one because they both want to go to B, right? And we've already got two notes going to B. We certainly don't need three notes going to B. That's a whole thing, right? So here we go. So now let's resolve this quickly to 5. Which of these notes badly wants to go somewhere, as we were just saying? It's A sharp. Wants to resolve to B. So let's let the sopranos do what they want, right? That's, oh my goodness, I cannot keep my keyboards straight. So there we go. So we've got B. We don't need any more B's here. So we need a D sharp and an F sharp. And look, we've got unison here because these two notes, these two voices are sharing. So let's have one go up to F sharp and one go down to D sharp. I think that's a fair compromise. So we're going to get that there. And then here we're going to get F sharp. And wouldn't you know it? Look at that. So we started here. Right? And you can hear that strong pull of the Italian augmented sixth. And so you can imagine, this, like I said, these chords happen after moments of tonal ambiguity. So even if we were hearing something like whether it was really, or simple, and then, right, we know where it's going, or if it was that sort of clarifies where we are tonally. Okay, let's do this now in B flat. I haven't written out this note for us, so we have to do a little bit more thinking here, slate them out more. So first and foremost, in the key of B flat, we know that F is 5, right? F is 5. So we're still looking, let me just bring that over. Let's cheat. We're still looking for lay, do, fi, right? Still looking for lay, do, fi. So what's lay? It's a half step above F. What's the note at the bottom, in the base of our Italian augmented sixth chord? Lay in B flat. So scale degree 6 is G. So G would be La, meaning that lay is going to be G flat, right? So we got a G flat there as our lay. So I'm just going to pop that over here while I'm thinking about it. Let's do G flat, F, good. There we go. So what's fi? Again, we know that F is sol. So what's a half step below F? It's E, right? It's going to be E. So let me put that in the outer voice here. So we've got E natural. E flat is in the key, but we know that we're going to want an E natural. So we've got G flat and E natural as our half steps leading outwards to the F octave, right? And again, we just did that by knowing that the interval augmented sixth wants to lead to F. It wants to lead to 5 or sol. So we can take a half step above F, G flat, half step below F, E natural. That's our augmented sixth interval. And we can use our solfege knowledge. We need lay and fi. And to make this an Italian augmented sixth, we just need to add do, which in the key of B flat is, well, the note B flat. So let's just pop a B flat down here, and we should be good to go. There you go. So that's our Italian augmented sixth chord in B flat. Let's do some voice leading with it. So I sort of started us here. We're in B flat major. I started us here on this voicing of the 1 chord. Then I moved to this 4 chord, because in the first one, we just went right from 1 to the Italian augmented sixth. So let's do from 4 here. So here's 1, here comes 4. We know the bass. There you did. Do, fa, le, sol. I mean, that's a great line. So what are we going to do? Which voice should get fi? Which voice will move most naturally to E natural here, right? So we've got the basses. The tenors are on B flat. That's a tritone away from E natural, not so good. Sopranos, same thing. They're a tritone away. So let's move the altos. So the altos went F, sol, la, and then they're going to jump down to fi, sol, right? That's a nice line. So let's give the altos E natural here. And we know that we can just already resolve this to 5 because it's fi. Where does fi want to go? E natural wants to lead to F, right? That line that they're singing reminds me of in Time After Time. Da, 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 da. Second hand unwinds, right? So we got, I mean, Cyndi Lauper wants to do this line. We should do it too, okay? So we've got lay. We've got fi. That's 2 out of the 3 notes that we need. So we know now that what we need to do is double B flat, because that's definitely, clearly the only non-weird note. G flat is not in the key of B flat major. E natural is not in the key of B flat major. So we need to make sure that we double the non-weird note. So we're going to put B flat here, and wouldn't you know it, somebody was very kind and made it so that we were already there. So this is something that it's worth pointing out in the Italian augmented sixth. Since the doubling is so pre-prescribed, you are going in a 4-part texture, you're going to double do. You want to make sure that the chord preceding it is going to make that work for you. Because I could have voiced this. You may have noticed that in this 4 chord, I doubled the 5th, which we wouldn't typically do, right? It may have been a little more natural coming from 1 to have the sopranos up on E flat, go D or Mi, Fa, and then they would have had to jump downwards, which, you know, isn't so natural. So this is a little bit more smooth. You have to keep that in mind. And now let's resolve this to 5. We've already got Le, Sol, and we've got Fi, Sol. So what are we going to do? Let's give the sopranos A. How about that? Let's give them A. The reason we don't want to give them C is that they would be at parallel fifths. So they get that. These tenor type people are going to get C. They're going to get this C, in fact. And there we go. We got a beautiful 4-part thing. So we're on 1. Then we go to 4. Check this out. Right? That's a lot. That's a really nice progression. Resolve it to 1. There you go. And those basses. So you can see these lines. I mean, I know the tenors don't have the nicest line. The sopranos here. And then that's going to go to do. That's pretty good. Mi, do, do, ti, do. But the altos and the basses, crushing it. So, sol, la, fi, sol, and then maybe go down to mi. The basses. Do, fa, le, sol, do. If you don't wake up in the morning wanting to sing do, fa, le, sol, do, I don't know what to do with you. So there's the Italian augmented sixth. Let's work on a little part writing for that, and we're going to learn about the other two national varieties next.